If you're in your 40s and you've noticed that your sleep has become affected during this menopause transition, perhaps you're in perimenopause, perhaps you're leading up to it, you've noticed that your sleep is being impacted, there's a hormonal reason why this is happening. And in this next video, I'm going to go into some detail about why this is happening and what you can do to have it not happen anymore. So stay tuned for some tips and tricks and reasons why this is happening in your perimenopause and menopause transition. Okay, let's talk about sleep during the menopause transition. As we know, sleep is crucial, and we'll learn that it's actually important for every single system in the body, mind, and spirit. We'll see in a list on the following slides just how many things sleep impacts, and when we have inadequate sleep, there is, as I'm sure you've been able to recognize in your life, when you haven't had a good sleep, it really does have a big impact on everything. So we will discuss what happens during sleep, so what processes in the body happen and why we need to optimize our sleep, and then how sleep is affected during perimenopause and the menopause transition. And then at the very end, I'll give you some tips for a better sleep and then a couple of action steps to go moving forward. So what happens while we're sleeping? Well, really everything. Everything happens while we're sleeping, body, mind, and spirit. So this is a time when our physical restoration and repair processes occur. Our cognitive function, like memory consolidation, concentration, focus, productivity, and learning. Emotional stability and resilience. Our metabolic health is optimized with our quality sleep. Heart health, hormone regulation, like those that control hunger, which is the ghrelin hormone, and satiety. So you may have noticed that when you have a poor sleep, you feel hungrier the next day. And that's due to the metabolic health that hasn't been optimized during our inadequate sleep, and then the hormone regulation, the ghrelin becomes in the nutrition course that I took, we were calling ghrelin the gremlin, because when ghrelin is active, then it's like a gremlin in our stomach asking for more food. Immune function is optimized while we're sleeping. Physical performance, so faster reaction times in our body, and then better coordination as well. And during sleep, we are reducing inflammation to prevent health conditions. And as we've learned in previous workshops in the Hormone Harmony program, that reducing inflammation is crucial for overall health and for so many things. And that happens while we're sleeping as well. So during perimenopause and the menopause transition, sleep is affected, and that's for a few different reasons. Throughout our life, sleep can be affected for many different reasons, but especially during these hormone transitions that we go through during perimenopause and menopause, sleep becomes affected. And poor sleep is one of the most common symptoms during this phase of life, and that is because during perimenopause, our lower progesterone levels, as we remember, progesterone is the calming hormone. Lower progesterone hormone impacts GABA, which calms the brain. It's a neurotransmitter that calms the brain. So lower progesterone equals lower GABA, which means that our brain can be stimulated. So you may be laying there at night thinking about all sorts of different things that you didn't do or that you need to do or what tomorrow's going to bring, and the brain just wants to keep going rather than turn off for the night so that you can get to sleep. And then also in perimenopause, higher cortisol levels will increase blood sugar, and blood sugar is a stimulant. It makes us want to go. So higher cortisol levels will also not allow the body to relax as we want it to at nighttime. In late perimenopause and postmenopause, our melatonin levels decrease, and this also affects getting to sleep and staying asleep. Melatonin is the hormone that helps us optimize sleep, get to sleep, and then stay asleep for the amount of time that we want to be sleeping. And in late perimenopause and postmenopause, melatonin is decreased. And then there's the physical symptoms. So if night sweats is one of the physical symptoms that you're experiencing, then it's going to be difficult to sleep when you're getting this, as well as frequent bathroom visits. And that's due to the the pelvic floor not being as strong as we'd like it to be, which then tends to create the need to go to the bathroom multiple times in the night. And when that is a need, then you're not sleeping very soundly either. Sleep is especially important during this menopause phase, though. Sleep is important always, no matter how old you are and what stage you're in life. But during the menopause transition, it is especially important because it affects how the adrenal glands will produce the sex hormones. So if we remember, the sex hormones, once they are no longer being produced in the ovaries after menopause, they are then being produced in the adrenal glands that sit right here on top of the kidneys. Those adrenal glands are also responsible for producing cortisol as well. So if we wake up unrested, so if we get a poor night's sleep, we wake up unrested, the adrenal glands will want to produce more cortisol, which will give us the energy for the day. Naturally, cortisol is produced in the morning when we think of the circadian rhythm and our natural sleep-wake cycle. Cortisol is produced in the morning, but when we need extra levels of cortisol, then the sex hormones are not going to be produced, which will impact all sorts of other things as well, because when we have already low estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone levels, because they're no longer produced by the ovaries, the adrenal glands is meant to produce them, but the adrenal glands will always prioritize cortisol first. So if we wake up unrested, the adrenal glands will then prioritize the cortisol production, and therefore the sex hormones will not be produced. So here's some tips for a better night's sleep. So as I go through this list here, I'd like for you to just take note of which ones sound like something that you would want to incorporate into your life, because that's going to be one of the action steps on the next slide. So some tips for a better night's sleep are to set up a sleep schedule like you would for a baby. So a time that you're going to be falling asleep, and then so you've got that time that you're going to be falling asleep, but does that mean you head right into bed at that time, or does that mean you start the wind down process? Read yourself a good night story or sing yourself a good night song. I kid, but not really. So set up yourself a sleep schedule like you would for a baby or a child. Practice a wind down ritual before bed. So that could be part of the sleep schedule as well, like maybe a warm bath or some deep breathing. I like to do 4 nice deep breaths before I go to sleep. So I do some tapping before I go to bed, and there's specific sleep tapping that I do. And then when I lie in bed, I take 4 deep breaths into the belly, into the lungs, out of the belly like a wave. And then 4 nice deep breaths. When I'm concentrating on the deep breaths, then I tend to not be thinking about things as much, and then it helps for that wind down process. Some more tips: dim the brightness of your electronic screens, or use the night mode feature that are on some devices. And then no electronics 60 minutes before bed is another good idea, because of that light that the electronics put off. It tends to take us away from that circadian rhythm, that natural wind down process before bed. You can use a sound machine for white noise. I've tried this before as well, and sometimes there is a automatic shut off for the sound machines. Guided meditation apps or bedtime story apps with the automatic shut off. Blackout curtains or a sleep mask for complete darkness. That's especially something for the summertime hours, when it can be light until 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock, depending on where you are in this country of Canada. It can be light for quite late. Make your bedroom for sleep and sex only, so there's not all sorts of energetic distractions in there, like maybe your office or television or anything else that's going to be distracting in there. Keep your bedroom cool, between 60 and 67 degrees. Obviously these are Fahrenheit temperatures, but your bedroom being cooler will help to facilitate better sleep as well. And then if night sweats are a thing, or being really hot, this cool bedroom can help, but also to sleep naked or in really light breathable pajamas. If you are not so hot while you're sleeping, your body's going to optimally sleep a little bit better. And then one more is to keep a bedtime journal, or to do a thought dump before bed. So if you do find that your brain is very active and it's running quite a lot as you lay down and try and fall asleep, it really can help to just jot down the things you're thinking about into that journal, so that you know you will get to them in the morning. So your brain doesn't feel like you need to keep thinking about them because you have put them down on paper. So maybe now they're resolved and you don't need to refer to them anymore, or you can refer to them in the morning when it is a better time to be doing such a thing. Let the brain know that this is sleep time. So action steps moving forward, there's only a couple. It's optimal for all of the processes that we saw at the very beginning, all of the things that the body needs to do while we're sleeping. It's optimal to get 7 hours, at least 7 hours each night. And you might find that you need more than that. You might find that 7 is adequate. Some people need more than 7. I am one of those people that needs more than 7, but work towards at least 7 hours of sleep. And if you find that you're more on the 4 or 5 end or 6 hour end, then work your way up. Use some stepping stones to help yourself get to that 7 hours, and then assess how you feel after 7 hours. If 7 hours doesn't feel like it's enough, then continue to increase by 15 or 30 minutes each night as you progress to see where that sweet spot is. And to help with that, choose 2 to 5 from the tips list, 2 to 5 things that you could do to help yourself work towards these 7 hours of sleep. And then eventually we'll get there. I know we want things right now, right away, as we want them right now. I am one of these people that wants things right now, but when we can not stress so much about what we're doing, that's going to help the sleep even more. Because when we're stressing about not getting enough sleep, then we don't get enough sleep and we're laying there thinking I should be sleeping, and it really doesn't help with the actual sleeping process. So if we can work towards and recognize that we're working towards, it doesn't have to be that right now, but that we will get there. And the tips list will help us to get there bit by bit, gradually, until we find that sweet spot of the amount of sleep that we need. So I hope that was helpful. If you have questions, let me know in the comments of the video, or you can send me a message, or we can talk about it at our next check-in. But I hope that was helpful, and bye for now.